Welcome back, who joined us now. Please welcome Alexander Adamov from NioGuard Security Lab, who's going to be talking about Battlefield Ukraine.
Thank you very much. Today seems to be the day of Ukraine, and we continue with the cyber attacks in Ukraine. Just a few words about me and my laboratory. So we are 12 years in the antivirus industry. We started with the help of Kaspersky Lab. 8 years I've been teaching malware analysis to my students in the universities of Ukraine and Europe. Our malware lab is located in Ukraine, in Kharkiv. And one more fact, which can be interesting, we also analyzed Stuxnet. We helped in investigation to Kaspersky Lab and Microsoft. So we're a little bit familiar with large-scale attacks. So as previous speakers reported, recently we've seen several big-scale attacks. 2014-2015 BlackEnergy, Industroyer, which was just described by my colleagues. And today, in this report, I will show you the attack with the help of NotPetya, ransomware, or how it's called, wiper. Nowadays, it happened in June 2017. So let's start from very nice stats from Microsoft. This is statistics for ransomware infections in the first half of the year. And here you can see like a splash in June 2017 in Russia and Ukraine now. And this is how it looks like from the residential point of view. This is a supermarket just 5-minute drive from my home. So we decided to go to supermarket with my family on Tuesday, June 27, and we saw such picture like all terminals were off because they were all encrypted with NotPetya. Thanks to question Rai, and we have statistics the same day, like after 1 p.m. We see that the number of infection, we see the highest number of infection in Ukraine. Then it's interesting that Russian Federation, the companies in Russian Federation were also affected. But the worst thing that it's not only about supermarkets or just home computers. You can see like how many organizations and companies were affected, and in this number you can see the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine and other important government organizations like National Bank and even National Police, and also transport and structure banks. The biggest banks in Ukraine were affected. Large companies, for example, Nova Pochta is the biggest post delivery service in Ukraine, and mobile providers as well, like LifeCell, Kyivstar, Vodafone, Ukraine, and even gas stations. So let's take a look at the chain of the attacks. I put all the infections and all the updates which were used to deliver malware on this timeline. So at the bottom you can see the updates of the M.E.Doc software. M.E.Doc is accounting software which were hacked and used to deliver backdoor, which was used in order to execute ransomware. Thanks to Anton Cherepanov, who discovered this backdoor in M.E.Doc updates. So the first updates, as you can see, was delivered by April 14. But after that, we didn't see any large-scale attacks with the usage of ransomware. So we can suppose that this was stage of reconnaissance. One of the functions of the backdoor was collecting tax IDs. Based on tax ID, the attackers could identify the victims. So like if they want to install ransomware in national banks, so they know the tax ID of this organization or any other company. So the second update comes by May 15. And immediately after May 15, we see the attack with the usage of XData ransomware. It happened on May 18. It was Friday. XData actually is a clone of ransomware called AES-NI. The author of this ransomware in Twitter reported like, this is not him who created XData and executed it in Ukraine. He said like his computer was hacked and the source code of the AES-NI ransomware was stolen. AES-NI is actually refers to Intel CPU acceleration technology. And this ransomware, when it infects computer, it checks your CPU type. And if it's Intel and if it has this AES-NI feature enabled, so it just accelerates encryption used by advanced encryption standard crypto algorithm. Otherwise, it just goes in a normal way using Microsoft crypto provider. So on Tuesday, we'll see the comments of the administrators that notice that this attack was connected somehow with this update. But the M.E.Doc company, the company who is developing M.E.Doc, replied that it was just coincidence. Let's see how XData ransomware looks. We can see that the developers, they didn't translate it to Russian or Ukrainian. They just put it as is in English. And they suggest to communicate using emails, which is also rather strange right now. And you can actually read the comments. Now you can read the comments of the administrators that complain that the ransomware infected computers after the update of the M.E.Doc. For example, it's very strange, but users from the two completely different offices that have picked up this rubbish also claim that this thing happened just after the update of M.E.Doc. Maybe, of course, this is coincidence, but some strange. And another comment. I have two encrypted PCs, different organizations, users, both are accountants, but both state that happened after updating the local version of M.E.Doc. And M.E.Doc company published like reply, something like that. Users who became infected with the XData also have the M.E.Doc program damaged. This coincidence could serve as a precondition for the association between the virus and the program. Similar conclusions are clearly false because the M.E.Doc developer is a responsible software supplier monitors the security and purity of its own code. And it's interesting. To do this, we have entered into agreements with large antivirus companies to provide executable binary files for analysis and confirmation of the security. This means that before the release of each update, M.E.Doc sends its files to the antivirus companies for analysis. So as it figures out, they send the updates to VirusTotal. And if we just click and go to VirusTotal to see, okay, what is the result? So I just rescanned it an hour ago today, and we see that currently the update with backdoor is detected by 47 antiviruses out of 65. But if we go in past, indeed, when they submitted the sample with backdoor, it wasn't detected by any antivirus company. So they didn't lie, actually. So next, PScript. So the same update was used to deliver PScript ransomware, which is also a clone of the ransomware called Globe or Globe Imposter with a source published in the darknet. This is how it looks. What is interesting, this is information about blockchain. They use a single Bitcoin address to collect money. What is interesting, the instruction is written in Ukrainian. But the thing, they made several grammar mistakes, which native Ukrainian speaker shouldn't have done in this situation. And they also proposed to use local terminals, iBox terminals, to buy bitcoins and to pay ransom. Okay, let's go next. And we see the last update, which actually the final update, which was used to deliver NotPetya. It was update 189. It was delivered by June 22. But before NotPetya, which was executed on Tuesday, on Monday, one day before, the attackers executed through this backdoor clone of WannaCry. This clone was actually has a similar capabilities with WannaCry, so it used Eternal Blue and Eternal Romance exploits to spread using SMB version 1 vulnerability. But it was written in .NET. So here, how it looks like, unfortunately, you don't see, but it claims like this is WannaCry ransomware, and you need to download Wanna decryptor to do this. Again, they use a single Bitcoin address. We can see the number of Bitcoins transferred to this address. And finally, NotPetya. NotPetya is also clone. It's a modified malware. Actually, why NotPetya? I think everybody knows that there was ransomware Petya, and I actually wear a T-shirt. This is Petya, green Petya, version number 2. I have red Petya on my back. It's version number 1. So if you want to see, just ask me during the gala dinner. The attackers they take the binary of Petya ransomware and they modify it in hex editor. So the final ransomware, then NotPetya, looks like this. So it doesn't look like a skull. So it has like this message. And another principal difference that it has broken user ID generation procedure. So it doesn't connect it to the encryption key of the Suffice algorithm. So it's totally useless, and that is why you cannot decrypt master file table encrypted by this ransomware. And that's why it is called Wiper. Also, they use a single Bitcoin address that you can check and verify that total number of money Bitcoins, it's more than 4 Bitcoins. And backdoor. So how all this ransomware were delivered? So delivered through M.E.Doc updates. There is one library, and this library contains this backdoor. This is the backdoor from version 176.189, the same backdoor, the same code. It appeared 2 times. And the last one has like extra function, case 5. Actually, this function was used to download and execute NotPetya. So this is the call of the function. And finally, we have this function inside. So here, we get Windows directory, then we download NotPetya DLL, then we construct the path using run.dll32.exe. And finally, we have this command line, which is used to execute. This is the ordinal number of the exported DLL function. And some arguments. Arguments actually are not important here. And finally, process start. So this is process info, and finally, we start the process. And this is what it will execute. It's interesting that M.E.Doc software was not really well designed. The files of the software were not digitally signed, so this company doesn't have digital certificates. However, the NotPetya DLL was digitally signed. But this certificate, of course, was expired. It was not valid. So it was expired by 2011. It's Microsoft certificate. Okay, this is I don't think I need to tell you more about NotPetya because I think everybody have heard and read a lot. Another attack after NotPetya used again software provider. This is a company called Crystal Finance Millennium. They are developers of accounting software again and healthcare software. So the attackers hacked the website and put their backdoor, and ransomware. They put a new version of PS script again, and Chthonic backdoor. Chthonic backdoor is actually an offspring of Zeus backdoor, which has roots in Russian and Ukrainian hacker community. And Chthonic backdoor is widely used not only in this particular attack, but we've seen it before. I will show you. This is a new PS script, and the same grammar mistakes here. And this is spear phishing nation-state attack to one of the government, to one of the city councils in Ukraine. So they just put it in archive here and send this mail. Also, the same Chthonic backdoor. So this backdoor was used in several attacks, and one of the attacks was nation-state against the government institution. So finally, I decided to collect all like similarities and difference between these attacks. And what I found out, all the ransomware delivered through the M.E.Doc updates, they are clones. Clones of existing software, maybe open source, or they're just stolen like AES-NI, or just modified as Petya ransomware. All of the malware, all malware have different source code, so it's not possible to find the patterns in these attacks. They're completely different. All ransomware has single Bitcoin address. If we compare it, for example, to the popular ransomware attack like Cerberus, Spore, Serpent, Loki, we'll see like this is like well-developed extortion, money extortion services, and they use individual, they generate individual Bitcoin addresses for every victim. So it's not possible to trace, it's hard to trace to total income. Also, different services like email, Tor, iBox are used to deliver decryptors. So it's also it can be considered like a pattern, but this actually a difference between all these attacks. And all of them were delivered through as a supply chain attack. So they used like legal software from Ukrainian vendors, which have poor security, and because of that, they managed to deliver themselves. And I tried to figure out the portrait of the hacker. So I can suggest that this is a hacker group or community which has connection between each other, because we see like we found these patterns in these attacks. They are not really good in ransomware developers, so they are not the same people as who wrote Cerber or Serpent Spora, because it's completely different style, completely different architecture. So that was not like the primary job. Then it's not non-native Ukrainian speaker, but pretends to be, so they try to create like a Ukrainian-friendly interface, if I can say so. And because of all of them were ransomware, and they actually got quite some amount of money, so they financially motivated. Maybe they got more money for example, running NotPetya attack, but we don't know. And finally, I want to state a phenomenon. I would call it nation-state attack as a service. So I can suppose that hacker groups and malware developers are involved directly or indirectly into nation-state attacks, in particular to Ukrainian government institution, to infrastructure, to critical infrastructure. And so this is about growing community which can be used for malicious purposes to run nation-state attacks in this regard. So that's all what I wanted to say today, and please ask your questions.
Thank you very much, Alexander.